Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing foreigners working in restaurants here in the kingdom. Now, let me be clear, this is going to kind of blur the lines between foreigners owning a restaurant and foreigners working in a restaurant. And where possible, I'll try to sort of parse out the differences. But the thing to take away from this video is that while foreigners could, in theory, be working in a restaurant, and in fact do work in restaurants, there are still restricted occupations for foreigners here in the Kingdom of Thailand, so perhaps not every job is going to be available to a foreigner in the kingdom. The best way to look at it is certain jobs, especially certain types of wait staff jobs, and there are some aspects of cooking jobs which could be construed as a foreigner being in violation of the occupational rules depending on the circumstances. That being said, where you're going to see most foreign nationals working here in the kingdom, you're probably going to see them in more of a managerial capacity. And in those cases, I don't think you really have an issue. Again, this is circumstantially dependent. Where ownership is sort of acting in a managerial capacity, I don't think you're going to really have an issue. But maybe a manager on their own, especially where they're not particularly, they can't really prove up qualification, you may have some issues with respect to getting a work permit on that individual. And work permit applications can be denied. We've done videos on that issue on this channel previously. Moreover, the other thing to take away from this video is it's very difficult to delineate matters of ownership and management away from sometimes some of the more rudimentary aspects of running a restaurant. And you need to be careful because, as I stated previously, there is a list of restricted occupations in Thailand. And if you don't watch out, you could go over the line with respect to the restrictions, and that can result in fines and penalties. Not something that's probably going to make a big problem on a day-to-day basis, but still something to be aware of with respect to maintaining one's status here in the kingdom. That being stated, in recent years, especially in light of the emergency decrees associated with work authorization here in the kingdom, there has been, at least in the narrow confines of labor authorization, where one has a work permit, it appears to me that labor authorities and immigration authorities are not going out of their way to nitpick as to what exactly the job description and the exact nature of the work involved with that given work permit is. So I think the rule of thumb generally is ownership is going to be able to have, I shouldn't say no problem, but the work permit process is going to be relatively straightforward for the owner/director of a given Thai company that's running a restaurant here in the kingdom. Meanwhile, the management side of things, I think most of the time where it's clearly a management function, a foreigner is probably not going to have an issue obtaining work authorization. Getting down into the more day-to-day, or for lack of a better term, I shouldn't say mundane, but the more nuts and bolts functions of the restaurant, it's probably a good idea to get some professional advice with respect to work authorization under those circumstances, because I've seen problems with immigration and labor arise from foreigners undertaking tasks that really do fall under the restricted occupations list. And for that reason, being somewhat vigilant to the possibility of moving over the line with respect to that issue is probably a good idea.